computer. Okay, so we're just going to record to this computer. If that worries you, it might be better just to blank out your face if you want to, whatever. But it's just, we wanted to be able to send this around so that people can hear Shmuel, so they know what to expect. He's coming back in February. So you can have an opportunity to hear him now, taste and see that the Lord is good. And when he comes back, you'll have more the opportunities to have him and know that he's good. Okay. Chris, my alarms keeps going off. Do you mind moving it to the bedroom?
In a bucket of water or something?
Yeah.
You might have them on snooze. Snooze keeps going.
Okay.
Yeah, every 2 minutes.
Okay. I dropped it this morning, so I don't know what it's done. So, yeah. Okay. Just want to read, from Ezekiel 36, and it's about the mountains of Israel, and I just feel that it's really relevant to where Shmuel comes from in Samaria, and to know that the word of God is very clear on that he loves the mountains of Israel and he wants to give them back to his people. So I'll read from 36 at the beginning and just a little bit. Now you, human being, prophesy to the mountains of Israel. Say, mountains of Israel, hear the message from Adonai. And you all know that means Lord. Adonai Elohim says, the enemy is boasting over you. Ha, even the ancient places are ours now. Therefore prophesy and say that Adonai Elohim says, because they desolated you and swallowed you up from every side, so that the other nations could take possession of you. And now the people are gossiping about you and slandering you. Therefore, mountains of Israel, hear the message of Adonai Elohim. This is what Adonai Elohim says to the mountains and the hills, the streams and the valleys, and the desolate wastes and the abandoned cities, now preyed on and derided by the other surrounding nations. Therefore, this is what Adonai Elohim says. In the heat of my jealousy, I speak against the other nations, all of Edom, since rejoicing with all their heart, they have arrogated my land to themselves as a possession, and with utter contempt seized it as a prey. Therefore prophesy concerning the land of Israel, and say to the mountains, the hills, the streams, the valleys, that Adonai Elohim says this: I speak in my jealousy and fury, because you have endured being shamed by the nations. Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, I've raised my hand and sworn that the nations surrounding you will bear their shame. But you, mountains of Israel, you will sprout your branches and bear your fruit for my people, Israel, who will return. I'm here for you, and I will turn towards you. Then you will be tilled and sown, and I will multiply your population, all the house of Israel, all of it. The cities will be inhabited and the ruins rebuilt. I will multiply both the human and animal populations. They will increase and be productive, and I will cause you to be inhabited as you were before. Indeed, I will do you more good than before, and you will know that I am Adonai. I will cause people to walk on you, my people, Israel. They will possess you, and you will be their inheritance. Never again will you make them childless. Amen.
Amen.
So I'll pass this over.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
How are you? Yeah, I just recognize a couple of the faces here. It's great. Okay, Shalom. It's an interesting setting what we have here. I'm just going to show that. First of all, we have great hosts. We're sitting here in Hornsby, and we have friends sitting here, and also I'm sitting with a cup of coffee. And I don't think I ever had an opportunity to sit in a presentation, but I think it's a great opportunity that I have and really to show and broadcast live to Australia. I see my friends from the other sides of Australia as well. It's a great pleasure to be here. So, yes, I will share what I have on my heart, and I will start with saying this. Today was an interesting day in Israel. You saw that. We had another soldier from the Golani Brigade that was released, Idan Alexander. An interesting story there. Have you noticed the story? He's an Israeli. Okay, he holds an Israel ID card and everything, and yet he lived in America. I'm not sure where he was born, but anyway, he has dual citizenships. He's an American and he is an Israeli. And what it made, like many others, like there's many others in this situation that are both American and Israelis or different countries and Israelis, that it makes interesting headlines today. Why is it so? Because let's break it down and see what really happened. So you have a person, an hostage that is being released by President Trump. I'm admitting people. It's
You are?
yeah,
Great.
it's all good. I'm on it.
Good. Thank
It's not my first time making a Zoom. And you have a person who's being released only because he's American.
Yeah.
That's the news.
Nice one.
So you have until now everything was in with like negotiation and everything with like Israel. And right now, President Trump come from the side, negotiates directly with Hamas, and he's able to release a soldier. And he says and he claims, and look at Twitter, he writes it, an American citizen. And Israel was woke up to a very interesting concept. And I want to start with this to try maybe to open this perspective about what I'm going to talk about. So people say, obviously, naturally, all of you, if you saw the videos of Idan being reunited with his family, you cannot but cry. It's an emotional moment, and you're so happy about him being released. It's such a blessing, such an amazing thing. And yet, the people of Israel woke up to this problem, this question that says, how does it feel? How will Israel continue when you see that there's almost an advantage of being another citizenship? So look at the way we think. I'm jumping into the topic because I think it's a good segue to the subject. Until now, the people of Israel, the parliament of Israel, the government of Israel, the IDF, everything was, helping and protecting and doing everything they can to release the Israeli hostages. Among them, other foreign citizenship. It's fine. But now, when you understand it comes with a price that Israelis are not being released because they're Israelis, and he's being released because he's an American, something doesn't look right. Remember this notion, remember this topic as we start to talk a bit more. So, first of all, if you don't know me, my name is Shmuel. Shmuel is the Hebrew way to say Samuel. So it's hard to pronounce. But I'm in the Bible. I actually have two books of Shmuel, Samuel 1 and Samuel 2. So I am Samuel 3. And my message is coming to you live from Sydney, Australia, but I usually live in Israel, and I usually live in a place called Samaria, which is the biblical heartland of Israel. And I want to try to open up, and I was asked this question today 2 times already. Where are you from? Where are you from originally? And I will try to share it from that to start the story. So I have an interesting background. First of all, I was born and raised in Israel. Okay, the English I talk right now, it's fake English that's based on too much TV when I was young. Something good comes out of TV sometimes. Don't try it at home. Do not try it at home. No TV. But at least I have a bit of English. But my background story of how my parents arrived to Israel is a better story, because in very small sentences, I would say that my father was born and raised in Colombia. South America. Not a huge Jewish community there, but he was born there and he lived there until he moved to the US. Now, before that, how would somebody born in Colombia? The story is simple. His father was an Holocaust survivor. And after the Holocaust, many Jews just wanted a place of quiet. I assume that you will check and you will see that half, if not more, of the Australian Jewish community has the same story. Holocaust survivors, where can I go? If I can go really far, it's Australia. And if I'm going to go a bit far, it's Colombia. Just literally, I want to survive. I want to live wherever I can, just to go as far as possible. Let me share with you this even. My grandfather name, I'm named on him, so his name is Shmuel. Shmuel Fischel, that's a Hebrew name. Our last name was Greenberger. You can't get more Jewish than that. Shmuel Fischel Greenberger. Can you imagine? So he moves to Colombia and he wants to open and start a new life. And he doesn't want to be persecuted because he's a Jew. I'm talking about his 7 siblings perished in the Holocaust. His father, mother, everything. He had one brother that he helped and carried throughout the war in the camps. And when they did the death march in the end, his brother was hungry, so he ate like a potato that was rotten, and he died from that. So I'm talking about somebody who really, really, really suffered, and he wants to be in a situation where he starts new. So he changed his name, right? He changed his name to a name that will fit in the neighborhood. His new name, Francisco. Francisco, and he chooses the name of his mother's side, which sounds less Jewish than Greenberger, Jungel. That's my name. It sounds Jewish, but not so Jewish, like German. My father named, therefore, you know what my father named? Rodolfo. Rudy. His name was Rudy. It's a very weird name in Israel. Nobody's being called Rudy. He had an Hebrew name that he was called when he came to the Torah and he prayed, but the name was Rudy. I'm telling you all the details to try to explain the notion of what Holocaust survivors went through when they really try to blend in. So Colombia, after a couple of years, they understand the education is not so good in Colombia. And my grandmother, where is she from? She's not Colombian. My grandfather, so he moves after the Holocaust to Colombia. He has a couple of family members over there, and he starts a business, but then he wants to get married. He's already older. He's like in his late 30s, even 40s. So he's looking for a wife, not and many Jewish girls in Colombia. So he comes to the land of Israel, Palestine, right? It's just the beginning when after the establishment of Israel. My grandmother was born in the territory that was called Palestine. So you can call her a Palestinian if you wish. My grandmother. Not the same Palestinians you know, but she was born in the Palestine. Someone was able to convince my grandfather to release his daughter, my grandmother, with him. They moved to Colombia, they have children, and after a couple of years, they moved to the US. And from the US, they stay. Only my father, we spoke about it today. When you're young, the only ability to live outside of Israel when it's simple, it's when you're young, and he's like 22, 23, 24, he moves to Israel. That's my father's side. Mother's side, her father is born in Algeria. Her mother is born in Tunisia. They get married. My mother is born, they move to, where do you move from those places? You know?
Anyway.
France.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because it was a colony.
Yes.
So they moved to France. This is where my mother lives all her life. And also, eventually, in a young age, she moves to Israel. Father and mother gets together in a place that receives all the immigrants. We're talking about the 70s. And I was born in Israel. You want the best part? Listen carefully. 3 out of my 4 children are born in Hong Kong. Here, Hong Kong. Why? Because I've served as the head of Jewish studies in the Jewish Day School. So this is the story of the Jewish diaspora. Look at how many countries we already said. Okay, Czechoslovakia, Colombia, US, Tunisia, Algeria, France, Hong Kong, Israel. 1 person. Why do I give you all this background check on me? Because think about the start of our identity as Jewish people. Put my 2 grandfathers together in one room, on this table. Allow them to speak. They cannot. They don't speak the same language. They don't have the same background. They don't eat the same food. Completely different cultures. He comes from Europe. You imagine how European people are. And he comes from Arab countries. He comes from the Middle East. There's nothing to do. Didn't speak Hebrew? No, no. Both of them grew up in places in old age. They didn't learn Hebrew. So you put them together and they have nothing to talk about. I mean, they cannot even technically talk together. So what brings these 2 Jews that's supposed to be connected? How are they connected? Are they connected even? And the simple answer is, of course, they're connected because they are both living life with the same story in the back of their head. And that's the story. We were exiled 2,000 years ago from Jerusalem, from Israel. We were thrown away from our country and we found diaspora. And these are hundreds of different places around the world where Jewish people tried to blend in. Here in Australia, I think it was a successful blend. But anywhere else in the world, some was good, some was not so good. But the story of Jewish people is a story of immigration. We come, we start, we're establishing a community. We talked about it. Family, community, synagogue, school, that's what you have to survive. For 2,000 years, every father and every mother used to tell their kids before they go to bed, before you go to bed, I want to tell you a bad night story. And after a bad night story that you invent from a book you read, you go back to the roots of the stories you know and you're connected to. You go to the Bible and you start to read the Bible. And you get to the very beginning. The first story is a story about Abraham. And now every Jewish child around the world hears the story about Lech Lecha. You should go. You should leave. Leave your home, your household, and everything you know to a place I will show you. I don't need to scream. It's not a big room, but I will say that the story of the Jewish narrative, this is the Jewish story, that one day we will return to our land. And every child that read the stories from the book of Genesis, he encountered those places. He started with the Shechem, Oak of Moreh, in chapter 12. And he read about the story of the ladder of Jacob that happened in Bethel. And then he continued, oh wait, forget about it. Abraham also bought the land to bury his wife in Hebron. And these are place after place. All of the places are in the biblical heartland of Israel. You follow? And then somehow God's miracle, prophecies that you just read, there was the promise that one day you will return. Now, just think for a second how this story doesn't fit when you are, let's say, in the expulsions of Spain, or the time of the Crusaders, or the time of the blood libels in Europe, any time. Holocaust.
Yeah.
Think about all the dark moments of the Jewish history when people would tell their children, one day you will go to Israel, one day we will have a land, one day we have a Jewish state. Come on. What are you talking about? It's so far-fetched. In the Holocaust, can you imagine people sitting on those bunks bed, 17 on one bed, and one whispering to another, yeah, one day we will have a Jewish state. We will have an IDF. Unheard of. Not normal. Unbelievable. It's a dream. But as David says, we were like dreamers, right? We said that. It was like a dream. Something happened. You know the history. You know the back story of history, and you know how God performs miracle. The land of Israel or the state of Israel, 1948. 1948. This is the time we were waiting for 2,000 years. Now, let's not put it like so simple. It was never, ever happened in the history of mankind that there's a tribe, not a big tribe, that for 2,000 years lived somewhere all over. And then one day, and everybody comes together from every corner of the world, including from Australia. Took them some time because it's far, but they came. You know, the Australian has a lot of history in Israel. I'm not talking about even the Anzacs. I'm talking about the trees, the cactus, the eucalyptus that was brought to Israel to help it, right? A lot of pride to Australia. I actually have a book at home in all the relationship between Australia and Israel. This is a very interesting book. The story that a nation returns to the land is something that history never heard of, but we are not surprised. Why aren't we surprised? Because we read it in the Bible. And every person who believes in the Bible and God knew that one day those prophecies will come alive. The only issue is it doesn't happen every day that you see a prophecy coming true in front of your eyes. I'm talking about our day and age. And the story of Israel returning to the land was the biggest miracle of modern age time. Full stop. And think about it while I drink my cup of coffee for a second. For real though, it is unbelievable precedent that a nation comes back, a tribes come back from all over the world, speaks the same language, lives in the same place like the biblical time, and it's just like nothing changed. The Hebrews are in their land, speaking Hebrew. Wow. But it wasn't so easy. Because funny enough, and you can take the map, because if you're sitting here already, you can use it. I'll show you guys. Funny enough, something very interesting happened. This was the partition plan map. Oh, it looks big and good. You can see it very well. I see you can see. This was the partition plan. This is how Israel was in before, not before, in 1948. A very slim, narrow area, coastal area. It's map number 6. All the orange area was an area that was the Arab state. Important to note, this is not the Palestinian state. There wasn't any Palestinian at that time. That's a word that was used much, much later. And funny enough, if you go 2 maps backwards, you will see something very interesting. And you see the big map. You remember here in map number 3, for the people in the room, all the places we've mentioned, from the stories of the Bible to the story of the kids heard, right? Places like Shiloh, where the tabernacle stood, or Dothan, where Joseph was thrown to the pit. Places like Shechem, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Hebron, all the places we've mentioned. These are the places Dad and Mom promised that one day we will return to. Do you see what happens here on the map? This area is exactly the area we did not control. And in the partition plan in 1948, where we received this horrible suggestion, these areas, including Jerusalem, wasn't under our control. Why did we say yes to such a deal? Open question. Jews are like good negotiators. Why do we say yes to this deal?
Better than nothing.
There you go. There you go. We had nothing. Holocaust survivors trying to make a deal, whatever they give you, you say yes. That's an awful deal, but it's better than nothing. So in 1948, when Israel is established, all the places we had the dream to return to in all those generations, it wasn't fulfilled. It's like we had Israel, but we never really had it, those places. And this is where it changes. In 1967, in the 6 Days War. You were alive at that time. You remember that?
I remember it well.
Israel was in a position that the world claimed and thought, in Israel including, that we will be destroyed. Kids were sent to dig graveyards in soccer fields. I'll repeat it. Kids in schools were sent to dig graveyards in soccer fields. It was supposed to be a disaster. How will we survive so many countries attacking us at the same time? You see this? That's a miracle. Listen to a story. 2 years ago, I'm in Hobart, Tasmania. Somebody here is from Tasmania?
Yes, my mother was.
I'm in Hobart, Tasmania, and they're upset that every time I don't go there. It's too far. You're already in Australia. So I'm giving this talk and I'm talking about the 6 Days War, and somebody raises his hand and says, I want to tell you something. I was an old person. I was all my life in the military. And I was also in charge at some point to the military school that teaches pilots. Forgive my English, I don't know the terminology, but it's a school that teaches battles of aircrafts. And he says, we never taught about the 6 Days War. And I was like, and he says it in front of everybody. I said, why? He says, because if you look at it only from a military perspective, there's no chance. It's a miracle. I cannot teach a miracle. I need to teach and train soldiers. What will I say? Pray very well, you're going to have a miracle in the end. So we said we never touched it because what we saw there, a lot of coincidences that they call in the army terminology coincidences. And I see it, he says, as a miracle, as God protecting you. You know, like the fact that in the morning of the 6 Days War, Israel attacked and destroyed all of the airports in Egypt, just in 2 times. The first time makes sense, it was a surprise. Why nobody woke up in the second time? Why nobody attacked back? You know the story?
No.
So the first round, they go and attack only the fields. They were smart. They said, oh, now they're going to have a problem. Even if they want to fly, they won't be able. But still, combat fighters can fly even without the long range. The story was that at that morning, it happened to be that the head of the Ministry of Defense in Egypt was in a chopper making a tour. And there was a specific order that says nobody enters a chopper or an airplane without specific order by the head of the army. So it happened in the morning. Everybody was shocked. They heard noises, they heard voices. They weren't sure. They saw it, but they remembered that they have to wait for the order. Their commanders telling, look, we see destroyed arms. It's Israel. They're doing it. It took time. And until they figure it out, was already too late, and the second fleet came in and shot all the airplanes down. A miracle after a miracle in the 6 Days War. That's what we were talking about. The story of the establishment of Israel until that point was the story that everybody knows. It's history. It's simple. What people sometimes lack, and I think this is where I come in place, is not the history lesson or the news lesson, is what people are actually going through at this time. Because imagine the fact that since 1967, for the people who live here in Judea and Samaria, in the reclaimed land of Israel, that was biblically ours, from that moment, everything they're going through is nothing less than war. literally being attacked. The neighbors, the Arabs that lived in this region of Judea and Samaria, in major cities and towns, they do everything possible to make our life miserable. And I'm talking about shooting and stabbing and stoning. You heard the news. Now, it's before the 7th of October. Before. Every day you wake up in the morning and there's new attempts, new ways that they try to penetrate to our communities, more places with shooting, with stabbing, blowing up buses, and more of those kind of issues. You have a constant battle on the nation, but especially in an area of Judea and Samaria. Why? Why? Because this place is heavily populated by Arabs, Palestinians who don't want us there. And that's our reality since 1967. Now, my wife's family is from Samaria. Her grandmother established a community in Samaria. And my kids are fourth generation in Samaria. And that is a situation that they went through and they're going through every single day. And I always mention the fact that my son drives to school on a bulletproof bus. It's quite a surprise. I don't think people in Australia know what it even means. Bulletproof bus for a school bus. Why? Because there is a chance that his bus will be targeted. The reality of life in the communities of Judea and Samaria was an obstacle and something we had to deal with all our life in so many communities. And we did everything to protect that. Our organization, right, specifically our organization, was one of a few that gave and helped so many communities in protecting themselves, buying cameras, buying drones, helping with fences, protect ourselves because it's an ongoing battle. And then the 7th of October happens. And I think this is where it makes it very updated. And the day that the 7th of October happened, I was sitting and learning. How is it so? It was a Saturday morning. And I have a morning routine, 7:30 to 8:30 before the morning prayer, that I sit and I learn with a friend of mine in our shul, in our synagogue. And that Saturday wasn't different. That's the 7th of October. It was also the holiday of Simchat Torah. And 7:30, I meet with him and we learn. The attack started at 6:29. We didn't know. How we didn't know? All the way until 8:30. Why?
You have your phones off, but it's Shabbat.
It was Shabbat. Shabbat, our phones are off. We don't carry our phones on Shabbat. So our phones are out and we're sitting and we're learning and like everything is relaxed. We didn't have any siren. Everything was chilled. At 8:30, people start to come to the synagogue and say something is going on in the south. We're not sure, but we saw people driving with their car with uniforms. It took a couple of hours till we actually understood. And also, we were one of the only synagogues in Israel that really didn't really get it because we continued as normal until 12 o'clock. Can you imagine? We heard there were like a couple of terrorists that came into one community. Like, that's what we knew. At 1 or 2 o'clock, my wife tells me, go visit your friend, the one you learned in the morning with. Why? Because his daughter was in the Nova party. Go check on him. So I go to his place to check what's happening. He says, yeah, my daughter was there. We can reach her. We're trying, we're calling. Nobody knows where she is. You can imagine the madness that happened that day. Nobody answers them, of course. And this is Shabbat. And from 1 o'clock till the end of Shabbat, we're phoning, we're trying to get information. Everything was completely, utterly shocking. Nobody understood. Even then, we really didn't understood. It took hours. You know, the news anchors, they knew very early about the situation, but it took them time to realize it. They didn't want to say 1,200 people. It took time. For a full week, his daughter disappeared. We didn't know where she was. Two options. I don't know what's worse. One, that she was kidnapped to Gaza. The second was that, unfortunately, many of the casualties, their body was burned, destroyed to the extent they couldn't identify them. The week later, on the Sabbath, I go to him again to learn, not in the synagogue, in his home. And he says to me, 2 hours ago, they came and told me that she was found dead. We identify her body just a week later. 7th of October made a huge change and impact on Israel. I try to tell all this story to explain how three elements made it so different. Number one, the 7th of October attack made every individual in Israel, somebody that he knew in person, died. I'm sharing a person of a very good friend of mine's daughter, like me, thousands as well. If not personal family member, it's a friend. If it's not a friend, it's somebody from the community. If not somebody from the community, it's somebody from your sister's community. It was ongoing everywhere at the same time. Number two, you know, we had attacks in Israel many times. We've been used to it. There was something at the 7th of October attack that made us feel we are, for a couple of hours, like in Europe, with no country, with no army, with nothing. We were just Jews on the brackets in camps. Nobody can help us. It's like they came, they did what they wanted to do, they slaughtered us, and they went, and nothing happened. That was the feeling. And it was so strong because of the third thing. At that morning, not morning for us, afternoon, we've realized the hate was so strong that there's a great opportunity for the enemy now to wake up altogether. Think about the price of what would happen if, on the same day, Lebanon, Hezbollah would attack. Iran will wake up. Egypt will join. Syria at that time. Jordan. What about our neighbors? From my home, I see the Arab village. We don't have a 3.5 billion obstacle to cross. They could literally take themselves and just walk into our community, take the fence down, and do the same. But there was something even deeper that happened. And that was this is the topic of my conversation. That's something we talked about today. Something deep broke in the Israeli soul. Not our soul, the average Israeli. And I want you to think about it for a second. This is a thought experiment that you might understand something that goes on a deeper level in the Israeli society. Let's divide it into two. There's a people who grew up with the story that I told you until now. We came to Israel in 48. We prayed all those years. We reclaimed the land of the biblical heartland. We live in struggle. We understand there's war around us, but God himself puts us in the land, so we fight for it. We believe in it. I'm able to send my son on a bulletproof bus because of this belief system. This is one part of Israel, but there's another part of Israel. And I will try to explain in a very simple way what this part goes and thinks. Indeed, we have an awful history. Indeed, everything that happened in the past is true. 1948 is true, but stop there. Since 1948, our goal, our dream, what we really want to achieve is we want to be a Western country like anywhere else in the world. This is the philosophy of modern Israeli, liberal Israelis who are dreaming to become Sydney, Amsterdam, London, Paris, or New York. This is their dream. They're liberal, they're secular. They want to be like their brothers and sisters. That the one thing, and it's not my idea, but somebody said it correctly. The one thing that will connect me to others is what brand of phone we use. I use Apple. You use Apple? So we are friends, we're connected. The identities could be more than just your religious or where you're from. This is going to be a universal place where everybody is going to be equal. These thoughts and ideas, you know them, they will go in the end to the woke system that talks about there's no genders, there's no religions, there's no identities. Everything is going to be breakdown. This is the post-modernist way of life. And the 7th of October did something awful to them, I think more than they did to us. Because while our identity was pretty strong and connected, and we knew what we're doing there, they were praying and hoping that it will change one day. One day, peace will come. One day, it's going to be a Western city. One day, the Arabs will receive what they want and will let us live quietly. And then the 7th of October happens, and now you see in the map, it doesn't look so good. Why? Because if you have any claim about Judea and Samaria, Gaza was here. Gaza is a place that we left for the Arabs in 2005. There were no Jewish people in Gaza. You see where Gaza is? It's here on the coast. There were no Jewish people here since 2005 because our prime minister wanted to make peace. We allowed them to live. They were free to live. The people, it's hard for me to say that every time, but the people who were slaughtered in the kibbutzim around the Gaza Strip, they were liberals. They were socialists. They were secular people who believed in peace. You know, some of them drove Palestinians from Gaza to hospitals to help them when they needed. They truly believed in peace. I would say something awful. In 2005, when the Jewish community were evacuated from the Gaza Strip, they were standing on the junctions, applauding and saying, "Thank you for allowing us to open a new page." So you see what happened? On the 7th of October, they woke up and they realized they just got the biggest slap on the face. Everything they believed that one day will be achieved, being New York, Paris, Amsterdam, and Sydney, won't happen. Why? Because on a video, on a GoPro video, they heard, "Let's kill all those settlers." Who are the settlers? Me in Judea and Samaria. No, the people in the major cities of Israel. The people in Tel Aviv are settlers. The kibbutz around the Gaza Strip. If they are settlers, you know what it means? That there's not a place in Israel that should belong to Jewish people, according to them. Now, if you ever believe that one day you will be a modern country, a liberal country, and the 7th of October attacks you, you know what happens? Your dream was just crashed. And it doesn't finish there, because think about the last year and a half in Israel. It's just not one attack. Then Hezbollah woke up. Then the Yemenites woke up. We sat in war under missiles attack for more than a year. You know the feeling that there's no fly company that flies to Israel other than El Al? You know, how do you feel isolated? That's not Amsterdam. That's not Sydney. We wanted to be a modern state. Look at what you achieved. Houston, we have a problem. The slap, I'm calling it the slap. The wake-up call those people received on the 7th of October didn't surprise us.
No.
Honestly, one thing did surprise us. The extent of the brutality. That's true.
Yeah.
I think we all knew they want to kill us. We didn't imagine what they will do in the process.
Wow.
And it was shocking because it wasn't a story or a legend. I'm not telling you anything. You cannot go online and see it yourself. That's brutal to think about it. It's the first war that is actually streamed online. The brutality, the viciousness, the hate was obviously there. And now the question is, how do we cope with that? So I can tell you that Israel is doing well and amazing and everything is fine and like we're strong and courageous. But the simple answer is this. It's been way too long and way too strong. I will try to explain. The Israel society is based, now I'm not talking about the two groups, I'm talking about generally. Our war is something that has been going for a year and a half, and our army is based on reservist. Every person in Israel goes to the army for 3 years, including yours truly. I served in a field intelligence unit, age 18 till 21. You think you're done, bye, you're finished, but you're not done. Because you're going to be called once a year for training, maybe to do something for 2 weeks or for a year, for a month. But you continue with your life, developing your professional career, right? You're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, whatever you are. You're being called once a year, once in 2 years, for 2 weeks or a month. It's okay. You serve your nation, you help. But then the 7th of October starts. And from that moment, 300,000 people are being called to be reservists. You know what it means? It means you have hundreds of thousands of families that their father is away. Okay, we need to serve our nation. We need to help. Not a week, not a month, not 6 months, not even a year. We are more than a year and a half into it. And we have people that served in the army for 400 days already. What does it mean? How does it look? It means that the house, your home, your children, your wife, you're basically not there. You have young children, you have old children, you have your job, everything moves aside and you're only there. In the beginning, there's a lot of strength. Everybody's into it. It's a war, but you're getting a bit tired at some point. After 6 months, after a year, after your husband was called the third time, the fourth time, and is not gonna be at home for 3 months, for a month and a half at a time. It is something that is almost unbearable. What about those guys? What about their profession? What about their business? What about their clients? So people ask me, but you're not allowed to fire somebody if he's in reserve. You're right. Imagine you're an IT company. You had a job. There's 20 people sitting in the room. Everybody's doing their job. Yossi is not there. After a month, he comes back. Wow, thank you for your service. We were waiting for you. He goes again after 3 months. He comes back after 6 months. We need to, you have a lot of things that you had to miss. We put Dana on your job as well. She's going to help you. After a year, he's gone. His job is not going to be there. I mean, he can come. He's going to have his seat. He's going to have his computer, but he's not needed. The job, the life needs to continue.
Yeah.
Think that you are somebody who works for his private sector. You have clients. You're a plumber. How many months should I wait with my plumbing problem before you're back from Miluim, from reserves? The families are breaking down, are collapsing. And that's a serious situation that we are dealing with on a regular basis. The topic of this conversation is about how we still, after all of that, show our resilience. And I will tell you how. And you're going to have time for questions after that. if everything that I've just said makes sense, and you understand there's a group of people that are almost giving up and saying it's too much for us, and there's a group of people, a lot of them live in this region and say, we are here in the name of God, in the name of the Bible, and fulfill a prophecy. I think there was an event or a series of events that made the big change in all of the atmosphere of what is resilience in Israel. And funny enough, it came from the darkest moment. It comes after we receive our hostages back. And then suddenly you see people that went through the most horrific experience, being in tunnels for more than 400 days sometimes. And this is the story they tell us. Agam Berger, for example, she's being released, and you understand something is a bit off in this family. They look secular, but the mother of Agam says if she will be released on the Sabbath, I'm going to make a point out of it. I'm not going to go and visit her at the first day. I'm not going to break the Sabbath by driving to visit her, because they're giving us this, giving us the girl on the Sabbath to prove something, to break a bit of our religion. You know how the Sabbath is important for us. You want to break us? I'm going to wait another extra day. Now, between us, she's not supposed to. According to the Jewish law, of course, this is a case of risking your life. It's something that you should break the Sabbath for, like somebody who's a doctor or a nurse or drives an hospital. The Sabbath doesn't count. It's life here. But she claims that, and she says that. And some reason, the Hamas with her release was the first time it wasn't on the Sabbath. They released her on a Thursday. There was an issue there. She's released on a Thursday. And now people begin to tell story about this Agam. Number one, she's there in the tunnels, and she's able to gather information of when the holidays are. And there in the tunnels, she tries to keep them. She lights candles in Hanukkah. She doesn't eat bread on Passover. And she fasts on the day of Tisha B'Av, on the destruction of the temple. What? In the tunnels? They were starving there. And she fasted. The terrorist brings her two books that soldiers left in one of the homes. One of them is a Siddur, a book of prayer. So she has a book of prayer. She's in the tunnels. She prays and she keeps the holidays. You know what the best part? Whenever they give her meat, she says, I don't want to have it. It's not kosher enough. All the other things I can eat because it's not so bad. Meat, kosher meat, I won't eat. After such a story, how do we feel about resilience? Another story. Keith Siegel, one of the people from those kibbutzim, originally from America, I think. His daughter claims that he did nothing about Judaism all his life. He didn't act anyway, anything Jewish. So he's being released, and the daughter comes to him, and the first Shabbat, the first Friday night, says to him, what do you want for Friday? She thought he's going to say, I want fish, I want meat, I want chicken. And what do you want? Like for dinner? He says, I want a wine in a cup. I want to make kiddush, the blessing we do on a Friday night. She says, what? The message that Agam and Keith, both of them shared, if it wasn't said by them, I wouldn't tell you. It sounds almost something that I invented. In the tunnels, we saw we have nothing but God. We saw God. He connected with us. We felt him. More. A lady who's there in the tunnels, she starts singing the tune we sing on Friday night, Shalom Aleichem. It's a song about welcoming the angels. The terrorists don't like the fact that it's in Hebrew. They shouted at her. Said, can I sing it in Arabic? In the tunnels, they already learn Arabic. So she translated it into Arabic and sings it in Arabic. Idan is being released, and he says that his friend wasn't released and died. His dying wish was to write a scroll of Torah in his memory. These are people that weren't connected to religion, to Judaism, to God in any way. In the tunnels, in the darkest places, in the deepest, darkest place, this is where they revealed God. Now, I want to claim it's not just, they have nothing to do but claim God. I think that sometimes those people teaches us something, a lesson that all of us can learn.
Yeah.
On this ground, we tend to forget the existence of God. The Israelis who think that they will live in Sydney, Amsterdam, and Paris, they forget God as well. And the stories that I'm telling you now brought light of God to the people of Israel. People now woke up to understand. And this is where I'm going to be very brutally honest. We talked about it today. You have Jewish friends around you in Perth, in Sydney, in Melbourne, probably some in Adelaide. When you ask them, or you ask yourself, why those Jewish people are not in Israel? It's a question. Why aren't they in Israel? I will say it in the most simple way. To live in Israel, you need to be a bit crazy. To decide to leave the nice houses, salaries, atmosphere, relax, chilled weather, great people, decent coffee. Although this coffee is from Israel, our coffee is better. That's important to know. But to give up all the amazing life you have outside of Israel, you need to be a bit crazy. Or you need to believe that God brought you to the land. The prophecies of the Jewish people returning to the land is a living prophecy. It's not something that is connected to the past. It's something to connect to the present and to the future. And while other people don't realize it, the honest, simple answer is, you know why we live in Israel? You know why? Because God wants us to live in Israel. When you put yourself in front of God in the decision making, it doesn't make sense to live in Israel. I'm sorry, it doesn't. You tell your Jewish friends you're normal because you want better salary, better houses, and better, I don't know, conditions in life. You don't need to run to shelter once a day. We live in homes with shelters because of that. Your son doesn't need to go on a bulletproof bus. Your husband doesn't need to go and serve for a year. No, it doesn't make sense. The only reason, and the one thing that we understood, we got it in before, but it's now stronger in our identity. We live there for a purpose. We live there fulfilling a prophecy. It used to be that the people of Judea and Samaria only felt that because we live in an hostile area. The truth right now is all of Israel believes that, understands that. And it's going to be a struggling time because people right now, they're still fighting for their existence and they're still shouting on the streets of Tel Aviv. End the war, bring the hostages back home. They're still trying to fulfill the dream to become Amsterdam. It's really hard to let it go. Honestly, my heart goes to them. I see it on their eyes that the realization of what I'm saying right now is a very hard realization. You will never going to be Sydney. You will never going to be New York. You were always going to be under this battle. It's really bad. But my dream was to be this modern place. I'm sorry. You were brought back to the land. You will have battles. You will have hardship. But you are here fulfilling a prophecy. You thought it's only the settlers of Judea and Samaria. No, my friend, you are a settler as well. You live in Tel Aviv, but you are a settler. It's a very painful moment for them. But this is the moment that brings Israel in a new stage in their existence. A stage that says, we won't be fooled anymore. We thought that peace and talk and give a plan and do this and that will change the atmosphere. My friends, we've realized none of it will happen. It is going to be a battle between good and bad, right and wrong. And the surprise for me today is it's not only our battle. If it was a story about me, I shouldn't come here. I would go and deal with my business in Israel, and I'm persuading in Tel Aviv this message. The reason why I came here to Australia to tell you that this, our battle, is also your battle. It's a battle of the Western society. Now, you don't feel it yet. I mean, you feel it a bit here and there. Some glimpse here, some glimpse there. There are cities in the world that already feels it very strong. London, Paris, disaster. But here, let's put it this way, it's not so bad, right, anymore. Finland. Here, it's not so bad. But the battle that we're talking about is also relevant for you. And this is where my story gets connected to the story of Judea and Samaria. I truly believe that the people of Judea and Samaria, where I come from, they are fighting the most. Because not only they serve, they're probably the only one who serve. When people are leaving, when people are ditching, when people are saying it's not for me, the only people that are able to fight and continue with this all those years is that the people already have this spiritual resilience in them. This is why the biggest percentage of people that are fighting right now are from the communities. The sad story is also 30 to 40% of the people who died are from those communities because they're the one fighting and they're the one to be there fighting for the nation. And our call for action is very simple. As you cannot go and draft and go to the army there, if you cannot go there, help the people who are doing it. Help the communities and the people of Judea and Samaria feel that you're standing with them, that you are not far away in a far land, that you have something to say, that you want to be part of the game as well. And in a game, I mean the fact that we are fighting for the world and we're fighting for the Bible and we're fighting for God as well, because it wasn't a fight against Israel. You get it. It was the fight against God. And we are standing in this point, standing and staring to the eyes of our Christian friends and tell them, my friends, this is go time. This is happening. Yeah. Now, in the beginning, it was pretty good. Everything was great. Everybody was interested. It's already a year and a half. Do you remember there's a war between the Ukraine and Russia? You don't. It's not there. Slowly but surely, this is what could happen in Israel as well. That people will just understand there's a war going on. No, we are struggling and we need your help. And we need to know that you're standing with us. So I'm going to share you just one example. First of all, we have many people here online, and I hope to get your information, maybe you can write your emails here in the chat so we can add you if you're not already in our mailing list. I wrote our email. You can also send an email to me. I'm going to write my email. If you wish, you can write me your information in person. It's shmuel@cfoic.com. I want to show you something brand new. I said I will talk about it in the Zoom because it's a very important thing. We have a lot of people connecting us and need this help. And we started something small, but I think very effective. It's called the Front Resilience Initiative. Front Resilience Initiative. And what we're trying to do here, and I think it was never done before, at least by organization, is to really bring families comfort. To say to the reservist family, there's somebody out there thinking of you. You are not alone. You're not fighting only for yourself by yourself. People around the world are connected to you, standing with you, rooting for you. And what we did here is a very interesting concept. We talked about simply a monthly giving. Things simple as a pizza that will be served to the families You have pizza. By who? By somebody who thinks about you. 2, kids' playtime in like an indoor playground. 2, help with shopping assistance. 2, therapy for kids. You know what the trauma the kids of Israel are going through right now? Unheard of. Unbelievable. And we are standing in this, and we're saying that the Home Fraud Resilience Initiative is a way. There are many ways, but another way and another vehicle to stand with those people and say, you are not alone. And it's a very important cause, and I think you understand it. And the families who are there in the front line and their husbands are in the front line, they are battling on a daily basis, but they're cracking, they're breaking. And as somebody said lately, and I think it's a very strong, I didn't think about it. She said, you think that after being called 2 or 3 or 4 times, it gets easier. She says the opposite. From the first day, I can't even think about it. In these last 2 weeks, there's going to be a next battle in Gaza soon. Hundreds and thousands were recalled to the army. It's very difficult. So, how do I summarize all of it and then allow time for question? I heard a nice story now. 3 weeks ago, we had the Holocaust Memorial Day and then the day for independence and the day for the soldiers. And somebody told a nice story about his grandmother coming to him, an Holocaust survivor. She comes to him in the ceremony when he finishes officer's course. And at the end of it, they send Tikva, the hope. The name of the Israeli anthem is the hope, right? This is the people. And the last sentence in the hope says, Liot am chofshi be'artzenu.
Sorry.
There's a dog barking in someone's back. Very interesting concept. I never saw that in my life.
I live alone, and so I put that on if someone comes to the door.
Interesting. And I was saying, yeah, the last sentence, the barks, took me out of the last sentence of the anthem, the hope says, Liot am chofshi be'artzenu, to be a free nation in our land. She says you were singing it very nicely, but I want to tell you, when I was in the Holocaust, in the camps, I didn't say Liot, to be a free nation in our land. I stopped after to be.
Right.
Just to be. Just survive. Not free. I want to survive. I want to be. Liot. I want to exist. This is what I wanted. That's the one word I said in the old sentence. Look at you. You're an officer in the army. You want to be a free person, a free nation in your country. Look how much you've advanced. To finish with the resilience and hope is to say that we do not forget our history. And we know that everything we went through, and only with your eyes you can see the miracles of standing in the Holocaust and having an army that explodes your, how do you say, the pager's device in your hands and in your face. There's a big distance here. And this big distance is in the name of God Himself. He brought us to the land. He showed us, He gave us wisdom, He gives us understanding. And thank God He also gave us friends. And that's what we do. Christian friends of Israeli communities, we believe that you are our friends. You are our friends. And you give support and love to the people. And I want to tell you that this is so valuable and so important. And the people feel that, and the people understand this small thing. Somebody actually cares. And I think we can do much more to help and much more to support. And that's my call for today. Be part of this initiative, be part of our work, and help us strengthen the people of Judea and Samaria and the people of Israel. Questions, please. You're gonna have, or they're gonna jump from the Zoom. Yes.
You have 9 million in Israel, 7 million are Jews. What's the population of Jews in Judea, Samaria?
We have 500,000. Just a second. We have 500,000, almost 500,000 Jewish people in Judea and Samaria. Arab population somewhere between 1.3 to 2.2. The numbers are not clear. They're not really having like the numbers correct, but it's something along these lines. Big, huge, massive numbers.
Is that a separate figure than the figure of Arabs in?
Sure. Yeah. Different numbers. We're counting the state of Israel and we're counting Judea and Samaria. Different numbers.
There's 500,000 Jews and triple that of Arabs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Somebody here can unmute himself and ask a question if you want. I mailed you, so if you're not on our mailing list, make sure to send me your info and I will add you. Any other questions? Any topic?
Well, Australia traditionally has been very pro-Israel. This is over the previous 50, 100 years. And that's, I think, changing now. And particularly some of the politicians who are generally very pro-Israel and not now, or at least less so. What has happened and what can we do about it?
So
when I say Australia, you might not know that, but you know other countries with similar.
yeah, no. I know also that this parliament was re-elected just 2 weeks ago, so it's more of the same. I think the pattern that we see here today is a pattern that we saw in Europe 20 years ago. You are still in the path of liberals and woke that wants to try to be good with everybody. And I think that until you're going to get slapped, it will continue the same. You see the difference and the change in Europe already. The last elections all over Europe changed wherever they could, because you only need to realize the reality of where you live in and who are the people that came here not for a blessing, but to do bad and harm your society. And right now, it looks like being a multicultural atmosphere, open, woke, receiving everybody, accepting everybody. That's the trend. This is the first trend of people who wants to penetrate your society, and in the name of pluralism, come and destroy from inside. That's what we saw in Europe. I really recommend the book by Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray. This is a legend. Book after book. You know Douglas? Yeah. Must read.
War on the West.
The War in the West, the weird death of Europe. You all know Douglas, right? Yeah. Douglas Murray is putting it in the most nice, polite words that I cannot ever would use. Is a British guy. Is also gay. And in the name of that, he explained how the world got twisted apart with those narratives of gender equality, of multicultural, and how the world is destroying itself from the inside.
Understand by Melanie Phillips.
So you have the story of Australia, I think, is exactly at the point before you do understand what's happening right here. You are opening the gates, and with that, multicultural is you have a lot of voices here from the streets, demonstration that are pro-Palestinians against Israel, and that sounds very popular. So I'm going to sway with the votes, and I think the world media and the world social media, especially, is being controlled. The numbers. You cannot compare the numbers of Jewish people. How many Jewish people in the world altogether? How much?
18.
Maybe 16, 17 million.
1%.
It's nothing. When you have billions of people that are Muslims. Muslims are going to stand together, most of them, right? So you have this social media arena, the media arena, everybody is leaning towards Arabs, Palestinians. So who is left? Only people that are not brainwashed. And I say it, you can disagree with me, but open the news in every channel in the world, it's leaning towards a very, 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 very one side. Something doesn't fit here. No, everybody's afraid to say what he thinks or say the truth or say what he have in his mind. The truth is, if you want to advance, you need to do that. And here in Australia, you had the lady, the one in the news that spoke about Israel. What's her name? That no. The lady from the news here. No, a lady in the news here. I think it was here that was very opening supportive to Israel.
Oh, Milan.
What's her name?
From Sky News.
What's the name?
Sherry
I think
The one that got out.
Erin Molan.
Susan Lee.
Okay, you know her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother of little girls.
Spoke about Israel, supported Israel. Somehow
Susan
she
Lee.
was thrown. No, she said it's not connected to what I said to Israel. Of course not. So you see, this is manufactured brainwash, and they're very good at that. The reason I'm here today is to try to talk above the political perspective and also the perspective that talks emotions. When they show dead Arab kids, it's really hard to argue against it. I didn't show any photo. I didn't see anything about how we are so miserable and they're killing us. We're talking from a perspective of truth and reality without squeezing your emotions. The fact that they are squeezing the emotions of the Western world and they're playing it and they know people will break.
I think, is it Douglas's latest book? I went to a talk and the rabbi said, I'm going to quote from a book by Rabbi Douglas Murray.
Rabbi, this is the new book of Douglas. I actually think that the first book would need to be the previous books because he builds there a lot of theories. I'm telling you, mind-blowing. By the way, Douglas Murray, not only in a book, go on YouTube, go on Spotify, podcast, shows. The guy is brilliant. And he explains in a very simple way how they're playing us. Any other questions?
Can I make a couple of comments, if I may? First, I do apologize.
The people here in the audience are more participating than all of you guys.
I do apologize for coming in slightly late, but I do want to thank you for your presence and the opportunity to hear the truth, so to speak. I want to come from the perspective that what I believe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. What I believe, I just sense that Israel, with the Jewish people, with the different factions you've spoken about, the ones that want to be like the West and the ones that are for God, that it was leading to an implosion. It was going to lead to a war within Israel. And I believe that God, in his wisdom, through what has taken place, has diverted that and turned it around. So now they can have a common place and a unified front and a line of sight that says they know who the enemies are. Right. So I wonder if you could comment on that, if that's correct. And then my last comment is, I wish there were more of you. More of you with visibility. We've only just last year we've had Stan Good Enough turn up. We've had Sam Duval turn up last week, and to have you is really different perspectives. I understand, I get that, but it's really refreshing. So thank you for coming. Hopefully see you more often. Hopefully we can participate in making a difference in some small way.
Perfect. Thank you. So you had what you said, I think it's very correct. And I want to bring you back to before the 7th of October. You open the news in Israel, demonstrations, the jurisdictional issues, left and right, and I agree 100%. In many, many ways, before the 7th of October, we forgot who is the real enemy. Truth. We almost like went at one another, fighting between left and right, liberals and religious. It was a very fragile situation. I really don't think Israel will ever go into a civil war. I don't think it's an option, but there was a lot of sensitivity there. And then the 7th of October happened. And as you said, we woke up to understand who is the real enemy and who really wants us dead. As simple as that. And when you have, sometimes disagreements between people, they're your brothers, your sisters.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, it was a very, very fragile situation. People avoided getting together, not to start a conversation, because it would flame a conversation in a second, and people would argue, yeah, do this, do that. You're right. There's a common enemy, and I think this common enemy, in a way, it also proved who was right all along. It's sad to say, but the big slap on the liberals was also from the fact that we always talked about it, the right, okay, the less liberal. The right always talked about enemies, borders, be aware, they're gunning for you. The argument was always there. Now it's hard to say, we told you so, right? We talked about the relationship between men and women today. The worst advice in marriage is after a mistake was made, I told you so.
Yeah.
It's a shame you didn't listen to me. It's a shame. Next time you should listen to me. I'm always right. It's a very, very hard point. It's a very hard situation we were in. And now the common enemy is clear. I would say, though, that after such a long war, we're already going back to the same arguments. Not the same arguments, different arguments. Is the war should continue right now? Why do we give another soldiers to fight? We did already everything possible. These kind of arguments are still there, are still ongoing, and they're not going to go away. Unfortunately, we had the hardest lesson possible, and there are still going to be people, regardless, they will continue with their line of thinking. And about what you're saying about me coming, I am glad to be here. I'm going to be here next February, and I hope that the next time, it was 2000, you've built a very big stadium for the Olympics. I hope we're not going to have an empty chair in February when I come, when so many people will come and join to listen. And every time we need to bring more people to listen, to hear.
Let's connect.
And we have I think we have a very clear message and a strong message that we need to connect with people, and that's what I'm here for. So we have people here. I'm going to travel in the next week and a half. We need to bring people outside to hear. It's really difficult. So thank God we have Zoom, right? People can stay in their home, but there's something in the engagement of going out and listening and investing in it that already puts you in a different place. I'm going to give you also to sign on our mailing list. If you're not there, we have a monthly Zoom that I usually lead, or I will lead from now on, that talks about it on a regular basis, and we can have this shared conversation.
Very good.
Somebody raised his hand, I saw. Please.
That was me, I think. I want to find, so I can't see anyone else, but I guess I'm always curious about, Christians who that want to stand with God's purposes for Israel and just with Israel. And I'm mindful that there are Arab Christians, and I often think about them, and I think, wow, I would love to hear how any comments about how that is in the land for you. I imagine they are in a, they have the potential to be a great bridge, but I don't know how that's working out on the ground. Do you know what I'm saying? Like people who love the God of Israel, Arab believers, I would imagine they're in very difficult situation in many ways.
Oh,
And I wondered if
yeah, Michelle, you were breaking up, but I think
we see them worshiping together. We see Arab and other believers in the land worshiping together, and there's this sense of wanting to stand with Israel.
you were breaking apart, but I understand you're asking about Christians, Arabs who live in Israel, right? That was the question. So I would say this. First of
Might
all,
be my phone.
before we ask about Arab Christians, let's talk about maybe 50% of all Christians who couldn't care less about Israel.
Very
Go to a regular church anywhere in the world, knock on the door, ask, what do you think about Israel? It's a country, Bible, but it stops there. The percentage of Christians who are involved and care about Israel is a smaller percentage. A lot of the people in Christianity actually holds the replacement theology that talks about the end of Israel and being replaced by the church. So before we're going into the corners, I would say that this is a question that needs to be asked on a bigger level of Christianity. Now let's talk about the Arabs Christians. They are in a very hard situation because of their Palestinian friends. The Christians that lived in Bethlehem were tortured, and basically most of them left. I think now there's 2 or 3 families that hold the whole thing together. In Israel, as much as you will be surprised to learn, many people don't understand that, but we have in Jaffa, in Yafo, 10 minutes from central Tel Aviv, big churches with a lot of people, and they're Arabs as well. Of course, they have a torn identity between their Arab identity and their, I would say, Israel alliances, but generally saying they are in favor of the fact, they respect the fact that they are in Israel and they like the people around them. I don't think approving or not approving Israel comes from their biblical perspective. They are just like all the other Christians around the world who say, so what have I read in the Bible about Israel? It's a story about a land, but it's not relevant to my life. This is not modern day Israel. So I think the question about their alliance does not come from a perspective of the Bible. It's come from the perspective of the fact that their brothers and sisters are Arabs. Some of them are even Palestinians, and they are living in Israel. And it's a deeper question of how can I relate? And I think we can give the same example as the Druze. I think the Druze have the same issue. They live in Israel, they support Israel, and yet their brothers and sisters right now in Syria. I'm talking about what we had lately with the Israeli fighting for them. Whenever you have an identity crisis, the question raises up. Let's ask the same question about Australian Jews or American Jews. What are you more, American or a Jew? Where's your loyalty to? And I think it's an identity crisis that I don't know how to solve and what to say about it. The only thing that I've referred to in the Christian Arab community is they are well respected by Israel and Israelis. I am not sure it's the same with their Arab neighbors.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And I saw about the we're very
You want to turn your video for a second? Maybe we're going to hear you because
problem in our churches.
You were disconnected. Sorry, we didn't really hear what you said.
Turns the video off. We might
I
hear.
was just going to say we're very aware of the replacement theology
Ah.
problem in our churches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think somebody raises his hand in Perth.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why that is, but agreeing with you that we're very aware of the problem of replacement theology, and I think that's a real target of prayer. And okay.
Yes, thank you. Amen for that. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Yes.
Hi, Shmuel.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. I just wanted to ask you um, how the farmers are doing in the Shamron and your area, because obviously there's a lot of farmers and fires, and yeah, what are the farms looking like? How are they affected, and are they? Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you. First of all, this family is amazing. I usually meet them in Israel. They don't live in Australia so much. Most of the time they're in Israel. They go for
We
visit
will.
Australia. And you remember the story I started with my friend who lost his daughter in the Nova party?
Mm.
You know, this person right now, he has a farm in the Jordan Valley.
Oh,
He took his life after the destruction of his life. Daughter died. Seventh day after the mourning period, he comes to me and he says, I understand that after the loss, we need to do something for the people of Israel. He just lost his daughter. So he opens a week later a coffee cart that travels around community and brings coffee to the wives of the soldiers and just the kids. And then he opens outside of our community a hilltop, a garden with a coffee cart, open for the public. And then he moves himself, leaves his home, his comfortable home, to open a farm in the Jordan Valley because he believes that he needs to move and do something in the name of his daughter. The farm will be a therapeutical farm, helping survivors, helping soldiers, wounded soldiers. Somebody that went such pain and translated the pain into doing something. So when you asked about farmers, I would say that he just sent me on the Independence Day. We had an awful night of fires, and all around them there were fires as well. And I can tell you that the big fires that were in Judea and Samaria, although their neighbors, the Palestinians, are trying in those days to take advantage and to light fires, and the wind blows it into the farms. One of our projects that we are now fundraising for is about those fires as well. We need to equip the farms with what's needed. So water trucks is a problem there because a lot of those farms don't have running water. So it's not going to be useful. Today, what's the strongest tool they use is like for the leaves outside, it makes wind, a blower. Yeah. So there's going to be equipment that will be purchased for them. All the farms are thriving and they're developing the way they could, but we need to help them more. There's a lot to do. And in your next visit in Israel, I'll come and I'll show you. So I had a friend 2 days ago. I visited a friend of mine in Kolek. Him and his daughter visited Israel, and they wanted to see a farm, so I sent them there for a night. There's no running water, there's no toilet, there's no shower. He said, "What have you done to me? I told you that's what's gonna be." And eventually, he said that was the strongest night of the whole tour. 12 guys came, keeping the land in the ground, shepherding the sheep under the million stars. That was an experience of a lifetime. Living at the tent, at the lousy tent, was the best experience of the visit. So there's a lot to do. We're waiting for you, and with the help of God, we will strive and we'll do more. Great to see you guys.
Do you want to put your donation place?
Please.
Thanks for everyone for coming. I just wanted to put in the chat the bank account if you want to give a donation. or you can email me and I'll give it to you, but otherwise I'll just pop it in here. I'm just gonna take a second before we go, and we want to say thank you, Shmuel, for everything that you've done. And just yeah, it's really important and very helpful. Thank you very much indeed. So I'm just copying this because it's we can't hear it on our TV or anywhere else. So it's yes, it's on there, but just putting it in the chat for the people online so that we can
Ask them to mail me, so I will add them to our mailing list if they're not there already.
yeah, please put it on email him. If you can get his email, then he will.
I wrote it there.
You wrote it there.
shmuel@cfoic.com.
Robin, you've got my email, haven't you? Have you got my email?
No, I
Can
haven't.
you email my email to, so I'll be able to-
I don't have it.
then I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah, great.
You can send me directly.
I can send it directly, okay, I haven't got your
Okay, I've just posted it on for everyone who wants to do it. You can photo.
I want to say goodbye to everyone. Shalom, everyone, again.
We'll see you in Canberra, Shmuel, Tim and Jane. See you in Canberra
Amazing,
next week.
amazing. So I need to change the talk. It's going to be a different topic altogether.
That's okay.
I'm going to talk about kangaroos and where to find them in Australia because I haven't yet. I'm just saying.
We'll take you. We'll show you live ones. And Limor. We're going to go and visit
Oh, Limo.
Limor.
Yeah. From the council. Great to see you guys. So I wanted to say just goodbye to everyone. Thank you for joining. As I said before, we have a tour in February. We know we have a representative in Australia who's doing amazing work. Her name is Pam. If you think you can host an event, if you think that you can bring people into this, let's do it. I just mailed everybody her email, pam@cfoic.com, and my email is there as well. Reach out to us, and we want to do more in Australia. Every person here, in the end of the day, is an ambassador. I would say it as simple as that. There are not enough people who are listening and hearing this message. It's not that we don't have enough of us, it's that there's not enough of you. And with the potential of bringing more people in, make more people involved, I think this should be a real way to help. So some people say I don't have the ability to donate, but I can bring to my pastor, to my friends, I can gather the people and bring him the message. I think it's a blessing as well. Every person does its best to take a part of the story of the redemption of the people of Israel in the land. And I want to thank you again for coming. And I thank you, Robin, for hosting me. And thank you for having me in this home. And it was a pleasant and was a pleasure. And I continue tomorrow. So
to Melbourne.
Melbourne. Melbourne next week. I'm in the Gold Coast, in Brisbane, in Canberra on Wednesday. Good things. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Bye.
Bye.
God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jane. Tim.
Lindsay. Woo.